Good afternoon, everybody. This is Phil Gibson with People Care Health Services. I want to thank everyone for attending this afternoon's session. I've got with me today Dave Bolser. He is the chairman, CEO, and founder and director for Senior Veterans, Inc. They are a financial assistance for wartime veterans and their widows. And I asked him to come in today and just talk a little bit about the organization, what they do, and some of his background and passion. You'll find that Dave is really passionate about working and assisting with veterans, and we'll learn a little bit more about his organization today. So, Dave, welcome.
Thank you. I'll just get into a little bit about what we do and those who we serve, and it's really actually pretty simple. We are Senior Veterans Inc. is a 501c3 public charity. We received our letter of determination from the IRS. It'll be 5 years in November. And what we do specifically is our whole mission is to help senior veterans and widows get a financial supplement that's offered through the Department of Veterans Affairs. And I want to be real clear about something. We do not work for the Department of Veterans Affairs. We're not affiliated with them in any way. But what our charity does is we help eligible veterans and widows get this benefit, and the benefit is adjudicated solely through the Department of Veterans Affairs, and it's a financial supplement that can be used to pay for any type of care that they are receiving right at this point in time. So if you want me to go ahead, Phil, I'll just go through in some of the particulars. And
Absolutely. Go ahead.
What we know, first of all of our services are free. And they're free for the life of the claim, and we work with families in all of the states, and we set up the website, we set up the eligibility requirements in terms of the structure of the website, because 99 and 9/10% of the time it's the adult child that's helping out their father or their mother with this. And what we have experienced is most seniors don't go anywhere close to a computer, and secondly, the biggest obstacle in this particular benefit, it's referred to as veterans pension, sometimes just pension, but more often referred to as aid and attendance. The greatest obstacle, it is so difficult to navigate and go through that a lot of people give up before they ever start. So I think there's 20-some pages of forms and so forth, but we'll go through those real quick. So the way that we set it up on the website is there's a video right under where it says our mission. That's a 90-second video, and all it is just it just is an explanation of what this benefit is, how you can find out whether your loved one applies for it, and then what we encourage people to do is just to get started. And there's a great big green start button there, and if we can just, Phil, if you'll just click on that, and we'll just go through it. So,
and just as a highlight for those of you that may be listening to this, but you're not online, where you are in a situation where you can access the internet, for future reference, you can go to www.seniorvet.org. Again, that's www.seniorvet.org. And from there, you'll get a chance to see the start button that Dave's talking about. We've got the share screen on, so if you happen to be online and you're listening to this, or maybe you're re-listening, you can get on that website, and we'll go through the steps to take the process down.
And the most important thing, again, the video is 90 seconds long. It's just a quick snapshot about who might be eligible for this and the amount of money that would be available for the claimant in this case. All the rest of the stuff that we have up there on the home page and so forth, a lot of it's just the legal stuff that we have to put there, our code of regulations, board of directors, all that other kind of stuff. But generally speaking, most people, watch the video and then they go right to the start button, and we'll just go through that one real quickly. The first thing with the that we ask everybody to do is we need to find out who is the responsible party, and by that, not who's financially responsible, but who do we have permission from to access. So We ask for somebody's name, their email address, and then we ask for it to confirm it again. And it's not designed for any other reason other than the fact that they agree that we have permission to contact them and vice versa, and that's it. So we collect, that's the only data that we collect, that's all we know. And then we get, once they click on the agree button, they'll get into the first question there. And so we're explaining the difference between the claimant and the veteran, and sometimes they can be the same. The claimant is the beneficiary. That's the one who's going to be receiving the award or receiving the funds from the VA. The veteran is the person upon which the service record is used to verify the claim. So in a lot of instances, they're the same too, but we just want to clarify that, and so there's no confusion with it. So, and then you just go on to the next one, and then it's going to start with a series of 5 questions. And you know, this, we'll just go through these real quick. If the claimant's over the age of 55, they'll answer yes. And the way we set this up is it just if you click on yes, it advances you to the next question.
So what happens if we press on no?
Go ahead and press on no. You'll see what happens. It goes to a default. And what we're saying is apparently the claimant is not eligible at this time, but if you are confused about it or if you think there may be a mistake or something, contact us at our email address. So it just automatically goes to that. And did you have to go back? Yeah, I guess you have to go back and start again. So.
So is there anything, who all might receive, have opportunity? I know there's in some of the information here, there's some information about possibly the widow of a veteran or something like that.
It could be widows are eligible for this. There's 3 categories, and they're based on marital status. It could be a single veteran, it could be a married veteran, or it could be a surviving spouse. We see more surviving spouses than any other category. And again, the surviving spouse, their benefit is contingent upon the service record of the veteran. The only thing that's, and we'll get into this as we answer the questions, but the veteran has to meet certain eligibility requirements. So this is question number 2, and the question is, did the veteran serve at least 90 days of active duty? And so if we click on that one, and this is, we'll get into the next one. I don't think I've ever seen one where someone received anything less than an honorable discharge. There may have been something in there in the past, but it's my understanding that the VA will still consider those as long as it's not a dishonorable discharge. So.
What other types of discharges are there other than honorable?
I'm not real familiar.
Medical waiver discharge?
There could be, if something like that, if something was like that, it would still be an honorable discharge because that's based on conduct. It's not based upon their health status. So,
okay.
So again, we're just keep advancing here. This is the one where people they spend a little bit of time with this one, and there's a little bit of confusion with. So we already know that the veteran needed to have served 90 days of active duty. And the key factor is that one of the days of active duty needed to occur during those time periods or those wartime periods that are listed below. And the real confusion here is a lot of people think, well, they had to be overseas, they had to be in combat. No, they could have been an accountant in New Jersey on December the 8th, 1941, and that still counts. It's just one day during a wartime period. And
so active duty doesn't mean front line.
No, it doesn't.
During a wartime period, you were actively serving in a military branch.
You had 90 days of active duty. One of those days during a period occurred during a period of war. We see, again, most of the time we're seeing surviving spouses. We're seeing less and less World War II vets and surviving spouses, more Korean War, and we're starting to see a lot of Vietnam era vets, especially with all the issues with Agent Orange and a lot. So so anyway, all they're doing it, and the reason that the VA is wanting to see, as we'll get into these forms, the reason that they want them to see verification of their service record is to verify exactly that they did serve 90 days. One of those days occurred during that wartime period. Surprisingly, I have received a lot of questions from people that will say, my dad was involved in, or he served during the Grenada invasion, whatever, and none of that's counted. I get a lot of questions about Cold War, which is not considered to be a wartime period in the eyes of the VA. So, so if we click on yes with that one, and this is the question that throws more people than any of the others, and that's why we actually put a video in there and we try to explain exactly what we're talking about. In order for this benefit to click with the VA, in order for it to complete the eligibility requirements, the claimant needs to show at the time of application, not what happened 2 years ago or 2 weeks ago, at the time of application, that they are paying for their care out of their own personal funds. Now, here's where the VA, and a lot of people really get hung up on this. The VA doesn't care who delivers the care. Most of the time, it's a family member, but it could be skilled. It could be assisted living. It could be memory care. It could be nursing home. It could be home care of some type, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's no licensing required or whatever. What matters is that the claimant has to show that they are paying for their care out of their own pocket at that time, at the time of application. And if you think of it just like insurance, if there's nothing that you can claim a damage on, there's no way you can relinquish or submit a claim. So that's the number one question. And the other question that I get more often than not is a question might be, I'm the claimant's daughter. I've been taking care of mom for the last 2 years. Does that qualify? And the answer is it does qualify if you can show that at the time of application that she is paying you for her care. And that's, if there's anything that's a pushback on this, it's that response to that, because most people will say, well, I can't take any money from my mom. It's just not right. And I said, well, just listen to me on this and just follow me through. The VA doesn't care what you do with the money. What they do care is whether or not the claimant is paying somebody for their services. So what happens 99% of the time is that if it's a family member and they're providing the care, they take the money and put it right back in mom or dad's account. That's fine. You know, the VA just wants to know, and everybody has to sign. The claimant has to sign. The caregiver has to sign. This is the amount. This is what we're paying for, and it's all, it's basically ADLs. You know, more often what we see than anything else are issues with financial management, because there's an issue of dementia of some type, you know, slight or whatever. But that's the one that throws people more than anything else. And again, it's at the time of application. So if they click on that one, on the fifth one, they're going to get right into the next. We put this in about 6 months ago, and we did it. And some people do it, some people don't. But we are a charity, and we are able to survive off of the gratitude of other people and donations. So we just put it in there. He said, you know, we tell people we provide all our services free of charge. And are you willing to help us with a donation of just $21? And it won't stop you if you say no. You know, just say yes or no. It doesn't make any difference. And some people say, well, how'd you come up with $21? Well, 21, the number 21 is a very significant number for military. There's a 21 gun salute, but there's even a greater significance to it. And that is at the Tomb of the Unknowns, in Arlington, the sentinel, the guard, takes exactly 21 steps in one direction. They do an about face, hesitate for 21 seconds, and take another 21 steps the opposite way. And they've done this ever since the tomb has been there since the 1940s, I believe it was, and so forth. So 21 is a very significant number. So that's just a number that we hope people will help us, and if they do, great, and if they don't, that's fine too. It doesn't make any difference to us. We do it the same way. So here's where you just pick the status, and all of the forms are separated based upon the status. So you can pick any of those you want there, Phil, and so let's say you pick married veteran, and now what you're getting is, if you scroll down that, if you'll just scroll down on that, this is a cover letter for us, and then you're going to get every single form that's required for a married veteran. It tells you what's included in the whole packet, what the form numbers are. It gives you coaching tips. It will break out each form in there. It'll tell you what other documents you need to include with this, and it's got everything that you need. And for example, there on the checklist, it breaks out each particular form, and we know that there are certain questions in there that throw people. That so we try to clarify those. And believe it or not, how many people do this, I don't know. A lot of times they'll just click on this, see the number of forms, and then they're done. They don't want to do it. So, but we tell you, we give you coaching tips, and what we're getting into now, or what you can see now, is just some of the actual government forms. The government forms are numbered at the lower left-hand corner of the page. And then there's other forms in there that need to be included with that. And what we advise people to do is take your time and mark everything. If it doesn't apply to you, mark it as a 0 with a line through it, or an NA, because the VA wants to make sure that you've read everything. And then we give you everything there is that you need. And as you can see, there's form after form after form. There's the physician form right there. The examination for housebound status. It's 2 pages. And as you can see, most of it's just yes, no. The more that the physician can fill out, the better. And then there's questions that are just not obvious to the physician, like, can the claimant handle their own finances? How does the physician know that?
Right, unless they ask.
Yeah. How does can the claimant handle their own medication management? I don't know. So, physician signs it, and again, we're just going through more forms and more forms, and
so how long does it take?
That form, if we can go back just a little bit, Phil, that is the just keep going up a little bit there, a little bit more down. Wait, I'm sorry.
You want the physician form?
No, the one that was down below it. It's actually the next one that below that one, I think.
Okay. This one, release?
Nope. It's coming up, I think. There it is. That's probably the most important form right there, the unreimbursed medical expenses. This tells you who the claimant is. It tells you who the veteran is. It tells you who the caregiver is, gives information about the caregiver, and then at the second page of that, if you'll just keep scrolling down, you'll see at the very bottom, it asks whether it's home care or whatever it is. At the very bottom, the claimant has to sign it. The caregiver has to sign it. They have to date it, and they have to put in there in writing how much the claimant's paying per month. And that's probably one of the most important forms of all. It's all self-reported. They don't go back into bank accounts. They don't ask for receipts or anything. As I advise people to do, if you tell them that's what you're doing, do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear what if I tell them that we're paying this much and then we really aren't. I never want to hear you. So some of the forms we're able to fill in, a lot of them for you. So, and if you
I mean, the thing is, it's a federal form.
So it is a federal under perjury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to, you You don't want to be creating fraud.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
you don't. I mean, most people don't ask, and I just say, or they'll say something like, well, what if mom, misses a month or a couple months or whatever, and I said, yeah, I didn't hear it. If you tell them that's what you're doing, just do it.
Yeah.
But they're not going to ask for a receipt. It's all self-reported, including all of the financial information for the claimant. It's all self-reported. It's not like the IRS. So
right.
Okay, and then we just keep moving along, and this will tell you exactly if you live in what states where this form is going to go and the mailing address. There's only 3 pension centers in the United States. Most of them, obviously, a lot of states are going into the St. Paul office. In terms of the actual wait time, the worst office is the East Coast office. That's the Philly office. And it's because of the density of population.
Yeah.
And then as we keep going along, we'll give you, if there is such a thing on this template letter, the sample template letter, if there is such a thing as a silver bullet, this is the silver bullet, because here's the bad news. It can take the VA as little as 6 months, as long as a year before this claim is done. The good news is they go back retroactively to the time that they receive the application. But what we coach people to do and advise them to do is use this template, this letter, and send this to your state senator 60 days after you sent this in. You fill it in any way you want. You embellish it any way that you want, but give the senator all the contact information. I've seen these claims turn around in 5 days. And when they get a letter from the senator, I mean, it changes everything. So it's a great tool, and I advise people to do it 60 days after you send it. Give them 60 days. That's long enough. And let's see what else we got on there. I'll tell you where to send it. For those people who have questions about assets in terms of whether it's too much money that they have, we are our charity, every director on our charity, our board chairman, myself, and so forth, we are very, very clear with all of our regulations that we will not, under any circumstances, give legal advice, tax advice, or financial advice. We're not licensed to do so. We won't do it. And so if you can see, there's a quote in here from the Department of Veterans Affairs in terms of how much money is too much money to have as far as liquid assets. And if somebody can figure out the dollar amount as to what's too much, please let me know. You should go out and buy a lottery ticket, but that's an actual quote from the VA. They make a subjective determination as what is too much. So what I advise people to do is if you think mom or dad has too much money or you're concerned about it, go to your financial advisor, give them that sheet and say, if this was your mother, what would you do? And let them deal with it.
Advise. Now, Dave, I think you mentioned this to me before, but are there entities out there that are, providing a service like you're providing, but they're also financial advisors?
Yes.
That seems like
it's a horrible. It is. You're a great question. It's a horrible conflict of interest, and if the VA finds out about it, they try to shut those people down as quickly as possible. Okay. It's a terrible conflict of interest because a financial planner is able to see everything that your mom or dad has. They see income. They see all of their net assets and so forth. So if they move those assets, they're going to be moving those to benefit them, obviously. Mm-hmm. And the secondary benefit is they say, well, it's going to benefit your mother because it's going to move her assets this place. It's a horrible conflict of interest. Yeah. What I know most people do is they go in and they talk to their financial planner, and the financial planner advises them that they simply change the ownership of the asset that they have. And it's a very simple process, and there are some tax implications to it, but the financial can explain that, or a financial planner can do that. But the good thing about that is it puts it in the hand of the it takes it, the financial planner is taken out of the equation, and the son or the daughter becomes the owner of that account. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, I say there's two things that needs to happen with mom or dad's money. It has to be safe, has to be liquid. So if you've got some financial planner saying, well, you know, mom should be in this annuity or whatever, well, that takes the liquidity right out of it right there. So um, uh,
Is there any concern, you know, I know people, you know, you assign it to a child or whatever. Any concern with, you know, elder abuse? A lot of these vets are older. Now you've assigned your assets to an individual that may or may not be. I guess it goes back to your comment about safe.
right.
You want to make sure that whoever you're assigning that to has your best interests at heart.
Exactly.
And it isn't always necessarily the
Exactly.
kids.
Well, it's a great question. Here's the way the VA handles it, in the way that it should be handled to begin with. First of all, the benefits that when the VA sends out the benefits go directly to the claimant. They cannot be assigned to anybody else, including the caregiver, which takes away the whole issue with the abuse there right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And secondly, what we see is probably 80% of all the claims that go through, there's an element or an issue with dementia. So whenever that's flagged by the physician, that's an immediate flag by the VA, and if they award the claim, they will also, for the monies that are owed to the claimant in arrears, they want to assign a fiduciary, and the fiduciary is almost always the son or daughter. If they don't have somebody, the VA will assign somebody.
Okay.
But they give you due process. They say, do you agree with our findings? I always advise people disagree with what they say and then become. So the issue of elder abuse, probably more due to the fact that they cannot assign those benefits to anybody other than the claimant.
Okay.
And it's deposited electronically in whatever account they want it to go into, just like Social Security. So there's no physical check or anything. So
And it's got to be an account that, you know, in this case, John Q. Brown is the veteran, Mary Brown's the claimant. So
right, exactly. And so what they do is they want the account number. Where do you want it to go? What's the routing number and so forth. So it's very secure in that way. One of the questions we get in terms of security is why you can't send this in electronically. There's a very good reason for that. And that is that it's not going to a secure site. And you have everything about your loved one on there, including their Social Security number, their bank account numbers, their routing numbers, all of their financial situation, all of their medical situation. And so it's just done hard copy. So you can't send it in electronically. And believe it or not, in 2016, the Department of Veterans Affairs is still a complete paper system.
Wow.
A complete paper system. I mean, it's stunning to me how it can still be that way. So, but that's in it in a nutshell, and we try to make it just as easy as possible. And then the other thing that we do is all of our contact information is in there as far as our email address. We've got phone numbers. We've got everything. So if people get stuck on anything, they can contact us. They can contact us 24/7, and we'll take care of this for the life of the claim.
It's kind of right at the top here, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's basically how it works.
Okay. So, Dave, how did you get into this? I mean, you're obviously passionate about it. You've been doing it a little while.
Well, I was real involved with the senior market to begin with. I was sales and marketing for a lot of senior communities, and so I knew from a secondary point of view about this benefit through the VA. And then at one point in time, there was a gentleman. I was working in Las Vegas at the time. There was a gentleman there that was coming in all the time, and he was doing this, although he was a financial planner. And I can remember one month alone, I sent 20 people to him. But we'd have people, I'd ask them the question and so forth. So anyway, to make a long story short, I worked for him for a while, for about a year as their national PR person, and then decided to go out and start our own nonprofit and got into it that way. And that's been the best thing that we've done, because we could start it out clean, and we set it up based upon it's not our whole website, our whole mission, everything that we do is based upon what makes it easy for the adult child, because they're the ones that they rock and roll with it. they're the ones that really do it all. So
digging through stuff. So if we're on your website here, Senior Veterans Inc. looks like it's, got some of your policies and procedures.
right, it's very
on there.
transparent.
Ordering military records.
That's one that we get every now and again. The VA is going to ask for the either the original or a certified copy of the veteran's record. And again, they want to make sure that they've served their 90 days and then 1 day during a time of war. A lot of people can't find it. So if they do need to get it, there's a little button where the lower left-hand corner there.
Right.
You can just click on that, and it's a 2-page form. It doesn't cost you anything. You send it in, and the second page will tell you where to send it. It all goes to St. Louis.
Okay.
And you can get a copy of the records sent to you. It's just a verification of the records. Now, with that being said, there was a massive fire at the St. Louis office in 1973. And at that time, there was no backup. So it destroyed millions of records. So a lot of people will come back and the VA will say, well, the records were destroyed in the 1973 fire, but they can still go back and verify it. And I don't know how they actually do it, but they go back and they give you something that you can use. But the claim won't move ahead until there's a verification there. So
okay, so gotta. This is one of those documents that you got to have.
You've got to have, and it's included in that whole packet. It'll tell you the other documents that you have, and basically the other documents are you've got to have a certified copy of the discharge summary, or the it's sometimes called the DD 214. It stands for Department of Defense 214, and it's real interesting. The World War II ones are, I mean, they're relics. I mean, they really are, and a lot of people don't want to send them in, and I don't blame them. Because they're all yellowed. They're typed on a manual typewriter, and sometimes you can see where they've typed something, they've X'd it out, and so a lot of them have them. They're framed, and they're very fragile. So I tell people go to a notary public or something and get it certified.
Yeah. Because
they don't want to send it in to the VA. So every single application has to have that, and for a surviving spouse. And, well, for a surviving spouse and for a married veteran, they've got to show a marriage certificate. And for a surviving spouse, they have to show a death certificate as well. So there's 3 for a surviving spouse. Okay. And those have to be included in there. Okay.
It seems like I saw that in your checklist.
And a lot of people ask, where do I find this stuff? Well, the county clerk and recorder where they were married will always have a copy of that. And then the coroner's office will have a copy of the death certificate, but it has to be included in there.
So now, are those records like the ones other than outside the VA? So like with these, say if mom and dad were married for 60 years in, Hope, Alabama,
mm-hmm.
and they got to go to the county seat, are those records electronic now? They've been on?
I believe they are.
Okay.
From everybody that I've talked to and so forth, those are electronic records because they're not sensitive.
Okay.
In terms of,
so
divulging.
You call them and
I believe
certain documentation.
I believe so. Yeah, you've got to verify who you are. I think there's some sort of disclosure or an affidavit or something. Sure. With HIPAA laws and so forth, the way that they are. But those are relatively easy to get. The bad thing about getting service records is, again, with the VA, it can take them 4 to 6 weeks before they get them back. And this is the advice we give to people, and they'll say, well, it's going to take this long before I get that and so forth. This is what I tell them. Send it in. Even if it's incomplete, send it in, because the minute that the pension center receives it, they'll scan it, put it in their queue, and then the benefits begin to accrue. If the VA needs something, they will write to you. They won't send you an email. They won't call you. They'll write to you and say, we're missing this. And it's not going to disqualify you, and it's not going to put you to the back of the line. Okay. So if it takes 2 months to get something and you just send it in, and your benefit amount for a married veteran is a little over $2,000, it's a little over $2,200 a month, and they've got it, and they say, well, we need this because you're missing this, you've got a 2-month jump on it. So you've just accumulated, $4,400, $4,500 in benefits that you're going to get, just to have that in their office at that time. So
okay. Makes sense. And then looks like FAQs.
Yeah, we got
People can ask
FAQs in there.
Yeah.
And so we're the Tango Yankee store is just, we've been using a lot of that for, we put all kinds of, there's some really cool products in there. We do it for fundraising.
Okay.
We've got a, if you scroll down, we've got the lamp, we've got the 50 cal business card holder. We've got another one coming out that's a grenade that's got a slit in it. And it's just, we just do this stuff and it's fun. And then we've got a contact page where we can answer particular things, and we're real good about getting back with people. And the good thing about somebody sending us an email is we get it in real time, and then we can get back with them.
So Tango Yankee store for raising money. What other kinds of things do you do to raise money for your nonprofit?
Well, the big thing will be this year, and this is the first time we've ever done it, is we're working with an organization called Wreaths across America, and they've been on national news, Fox News, and for years and years now. Basically, what it is that there's a wreath company in Maine, and they make wreaths, obviously, and so the wreaths, they make all kinds of custom wreaths and so forth, but there's wreaths that they have specifically for that to be placed on the gravestones at national cemeteries throughout the United States. They started in Arlington, and this will be the first year where we are going to be the lead fundraiser for them, for people that they can, it's called sponsoring a wreath. They're actually purchasing a wreath. Wreaths are $15. And that wreath will be made in it's out of a live balsam fir tree. They don't cut the tree down. They tip the tree. They tip the branches. And they bring them out, and they'll be placed on the gravestones at Fort Logan National Cemetery. And we're going to have a huge direct mail press release. It's going to be all over TV and so forth campaign starting on the 1st of October, running through the 14th of November.
Okay.
And this will be the first time for Fort Logan, and the best they've ever done before is they had maybe enough people that purchased wreaths to get maybe 2,000 to 3,000 graves out there. There are over 96,000 graves at Fort Logan.
Really?
Dating back to the Spanish-American War.
Wow. Okay.
So it's just, so we're trying to get the whole state of Colorado, whether it's businesses or schools or individuals or whatever. And the reason we've set up a regular site called FortLoganHonor.com. It's not live yet, but this is going to be what we're going to be doing, and that will be the fundraiser for our charity.
Okay.
And if it works well in Denver, then the year after this, we're going to go Denver and San Diego. There's another national cemetery in San Diego. So
okay.
As long as he doesn't run out of trees. So
yeah. How much is a wreath?
$15.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's $15 for the wreath.
Okay.
And the way that it works with us is that we collect the $15, we send it in, they handcraft the wreath, they ship it out here from Maine and so forth, and then for every $15 wreath that we give to them, I shouldn't say it's reimbursed, but they send us back, they remit to us $5. Okay. So it's a fundraising thing for our charity as well. So it works, it just completes the circle all the way around. So
okay. Nice. Any other fundraising events you've had in the past or you've got coming up?
Nothing right. This is going to be the biggest one right now. We're trying to get, we're sending out a letter to various people in Colorado to get them to say a little something about this. We already gave them the script. We're just going to see if people are going to send it back to us so we can put it in a compilation video. But amongst those in Colorado, all three of the Benghazi guys, the 13 hours, the three guys from Benghazi live in Colorado, all three. We're asking Peyton Manning, Dave Logan, some other famous Coloradans, Dana Perino, John Scott of Fox News. We've got Goose Gossage out of Colorado Springs, Chad Hennings from the Air Force Academy,
These are all people that are...
These are all people who have a Colorado connection.
Okay.
And the one that's going to be, and it's just by chance that a lot of people know and has a Colorado connection because he went to the Air Force Academy, is Sully Sullenberger, the guy who, the Miracle on the Hudson.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that there is a major motion picture coming out on the 6th of September called Sully.
Yeah.
And it stars Tom Hanks, and it's directed by Clint Eastwood.
Right.
So, and also, who else? Greg Popovich, the head coach of San Antonio Spurs. He went to the Air Force Academy. Phil Bailey, who's one of the lead singers, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know, there's other people maybe not as well known.
So you got some...
Well, we're trying to get some big names that'll just come up and just say something. Mm-hmm. We've got a letter that's going to be sent out to David and Gail Liniger. They were there too. Yeah. They started Remax. Yeah. Yeah. Jake Jabs, American Furniture Warehouse. And these are people that are just going to say a little something, and we're going to put it together in a video and see what we come up with and nice. See how it works.
So how can others get involved or help with some of these initiatives you guys have going, or what's the best way to get involved to help or support your organization?
Probably the best way will be in about 2 weeks. We'll have our website set up. It's called fortloganhonor.com.
We have a tab coming up.
We'll have a tab coming right off that site. Okay. Right, and that's what they can do. They can go there if they want to sponsor a wreath. We're going to have a secure site there so they can it's all tax deductible. If they want to sponsor one wreath, or if they want to sponsor 1,000, it doesn't matter. The one thing we're doing with this too is that for anybody that sponsors a wreath, it doesn't matter whether it's one wreath or whether it's 1,000. Mm-hmm. On the 22nd of January, there will be a front page ad, literally, and maybe two, or not a front page, but a full page ad. And it may be two, depending upon how many names, that list every single name or every single business that sponsored a wreath. Doesn't matter what and the names are always the same. In other words, there's not, if Peyton Manning sends $15,000, his name's not going to be bigger than somebody else's name.
Yeah,
it just doesn't matter.
A list of those.
It's just a list of everybody that contributed, and it's going to be in the Sunday edition. I think it's January the 22nd.
Okay.
But it's just real nice to say thank you to people in the state. So
now, do you see the wreaths being something that goes on through the year, or is that more of a holiday thing?
It's only one time. It's only one time during the year, and we do it for the day is called National Wreaths Across America Day, and it's sanctioned by Congress.
Okay.
This year it's December the 17th.
Okay.
It's different every year, and they do it this guy's goal is to get a wreath on every single gravesite. There's 2.7 million.
So do the wreaths get sent to the individuals that make the donation, and then they take them out?
No,
there,
the wreaths
get them right to
the wreaths are sent. It's all independent trucking companies that they bring the wreaths back from Maine, and they go directly to Fort Logan, and then the volunteers
put them up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Volunteers lay the wreaths on that particular day. So. We did the math. I had somebody that was an engineer that did the math in terms of the wreaths and so forth. There's 9 wreaths in a box. You can put 5,000 wreaths in a semi truck, in a semi truck trailer, and so it would take 20 semis to bring them out. So,
wow.
So
that's fairly significant. What if the veteran's not buried at Fort Logan? Could you put a wreath somewhere else? If they're a private cemetery.
Absolutely, you can. And the way that it works is, and we'll tell you that in our site too, is that you can go to Wreaths Across America, and you, if you want your wreath to go to a cemetery, another cemetery,
okay,
it'll go to that cemetery. Now, the one thing that they can do is they can direct it to that cemetery, but they can't be gravesite specific. So in other words, they can't say, like John Smith, my great-grandfather, is buried at Fort Logan. We want this wreath for him, because it would just, with 96,000, it would just be impossible to do.
Yeah.
But you can send it to any cemetery, any of the 1,100 cemeteries throughout the country that you want. You know, most of them go to Arlington.
Yeah.
They started at Arlington, you know, but Fort Logan, they've never had more than 3,000, which brings up the question of, you know, if you got over 96,000 buried at Fort Logan, that means 93,000 gravestones didn't get a wreath.
Yeah.
You know, if that happens to be your dad or your mom or your grandfather or your son or daughter, I mean, how would that make you feel? I mean,
yeah.
And so that's why we're asking this direct mail campaign. We've got a whole list of every city in Colorado. So we start with city governments, chamber of commerce, top employers, police, fire, Harley Davidson dealerships. We've got, you know, physician offices and so forth. And it's a direct mail piece, and it goes directly to them. And they can either go to the website and sponsor electronically, or we include an envelope in there that they could send. A lot of people don't feel comfortable doing that, so they can send it directly to our address in Colorado Springs. Everybody gets a receipt for it. So
nice. And what's the cutoff date for ordering? Is it a few weeks before
it's
that?
going to be the November, great question. It's going to be November the 14th.
Okay.
Even though the cutoff date for Wreaths Across America is a little bit later. We're going to run a real concentrated campaign, because what we anticipate will happen is there will be very little activity until probably the week of Veterans Day.
Yeah.
You know, and 10 days before. And then once we start getting out on the news in terms of TV stations, radio stations, hopefully we're everywhere.
Okay.
You know, we've got all the ones here. We've got Mandy Connell, Dave Logan, Susie Wargen. You know, we're asking, you know, for airtime and stuff for all of those. Channel 9 News, you know, all of the big ones and so forth. So
good.
Denver Post, you know, everything will be done with press releases. So the more press we can get, the better. Mm-hmm. One of the things that came up today when I was out at Fort Logan this morning, and one of the things that came up will be significant is, and the people that work at Fort Logan are prevented from doing this. I mean, they can't do it. They're federal employees, so they can't do it. But this would be an incredible thing for schools to get involved with. And it just so happens that I think 2 of the students at Columbine are buried at Fort Logan, and 2 of the faculty members, I think.
Really?
Are at Fort Logan, right. And why they're out there is because the 2 that are buried at Fort Logan, their parents were in the military. And so I think there's 3 or 4 from Columbine that are out there. But what a great way for schools to get involved with that. I mean, you take a look at, you know, Columbine High School. I don't know how many students they have, a couple thousand maybe.
Yeah, probably.
That's $15 a wreath.
Yeah.
And they could do it as, you know, as school project or as an individual project, whatever. But wouldn't it be wonderful to say, you know, Columbine High School has their name, you know, 1,000 wreaths or something like that, or you know, just let's say Columbine High School, you know, Mullen High School is right across the street, right from Fort Logan. So, but we'll keep you posted on that as we get closer and closer to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
we'll get it out on our Facebook page and see where that goes. All right. Any other closing comments, Dave?
That's it. I just want to thank everybody for, you know, all the help and helping these senior vets and spouses get this benefit. It's a financial godsend for families. It really is. All the money's tax-free. It lasts for the rest of their life. So it's saved a lot of families. It really has.
And just so for future reference, for those of you that are interested in Senior Vet and seniorvet.org, you can go to the Contact Us tab on their website. It's got a basic profile information to fill in. It's also has a phone number and an email address there if you prefer to do it that way, to reach out to somebody within Dave's organization, or it could be Dave himself.
Sure.
Depends on, you know, kind of what's cooking that day, you might call. But would encourage anybody and everybody to, you know, if you have a friend, a loved one, family member, or whatever that is a veteran that might qualify for this, encourage them to go to the website and go through it with their kids or whatever, or if they get into some questions, reach out to seniorvet.org and chat with these guys, because I think they can help you.
Yep. And the great thing about it, Phil, as we talked about it before, all of the services are free.
Yeah,
it's all free.
Great.
Doesn't matter how long it takes, how much time it takes from us, whatever. And we'll do it for the life of the claim. So
great. So this is Phil Gibson with People Care Health Services. We, most of you that are listening to this know about our organization. Part of the reason I wanted to have Dave come in is that we work with veterans across the state of Colorado, and this is an avenue that we work with them as far as providing the care in the home to make sure that that veteran can stay in the home and doesn't have to go to a facility or a nursing home or any institution, that they can live out their days if they choose to in a comfortable environment of their home, in a safe environment. So that's what we're all about. Thanks again for listening, and again, let us know if you have any questions. You can reach out to any one of us within the People Care organization on our website at www.peoplecarehs.com. Thank you again, and just ask you to have a great day.